Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden. This is Driven Unscripted Success podcast. We have another awesome guest on today. We have Dr. Raez. Dr. Raez works as a chief scientific officer and medical director of the Memorial Cancer Institute / Memorial Healthcare System. He is also co-director of the of this institute and the in FAU. He is also director of thoracic oncology program. Why don't I bring Dr. Luis on and he can share more with us. How are you doing, Dr. Raez?
Yeah, good day. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for coming on. So why don't you start off by telling us about what you do and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I am what we call thoracic oncologist, a lung cancer expert, and I am a scientist, so I do research trying to develop new therapies for lung cancer. And I also work as a medical director of Memorial Cancer Institute. We are in Broward County, and the next county to Miami. We are one of the 6 Florida cancer centers of excellence designed by the governor as a tier 1 cancer centers in the state. Usually these are the largest cancer centers in the state and the most academic ones.
I see. So I'm sure there's a lot of competition in your profession in doing the clinical studies and staying ahead. You know, what sets you apart? What comes easy to you that others find challenging?
We work for the governor. You know, we're a state facility. I don't feel necessary that we compete because we take care actually of the indigent patients. We take care of the poorly insured patients. We take care of the no-insured patients. We are what we call a SafeNet hospital, 340B for reimbursement. That's why we are not in the market to make money. We are in the market to take care of the patients. And we have been very lucky because in the last 60 years of this healthcare system of 5 hospitals in Broward County, it's a very profitable healthcare system, despite the fact that we are a state facility. Now, usually when you talk about public hospitals, you think that the hospitals are broken, they don't have money, and they have to take care of the burden of all the people that don't have resources. But we have been administered very well for the last 60 years. So we not only take care of the people with the best standards of care, but we have the best hospitals in South Florida. So that's why we're very proud to work here, and we can devote resources to do academic activities. As I mentioned at the beginning, we do lung cancer research and many cancer research because we're more than 50 oncologists here, and we have the resources to do the research, and we partner with many industry partners. So we collaborate trying to develop clinical trials. Now, remember, most of the industry partners, they have drugs, but they don't have patients, so they need to do trials, and we take care of patients here. So that's why, for example, in our cancer center today, we have more than 65 clinical trials with new drugs for patients.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. So what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career?
Well, I choose lung cancer, and you know, lung cancer, when I start 25 years, is like 85% lethal. And unfortunately, every year we get a huge number of Americans, more than 100, 200, this year is now 240,000 people that gets lung cancer. Wow. And I tell you, we can only save 15% of them, maybe now 20% of them. The rest of the patients, we try to keep them alive with the best quality of life that we can. So that's why the challenge for us is to try to cure more people every year and to keep people alive for longer periods. And that's what we are doing.
That's wonderful. You know, my father passed away I think it was in 2011. He went in the year before, the August of 2010, and he went in with pneumonia and came out with stage 4 lung cancer, several other cancers that he had at the same time, brain cancer, blood cancer. And he went through the chemo, and 6 months later, miraculously, all the cancer was gone from his body. And then another 3 months later, it came back with a vengeance, and he ended up passing away, but they didn't have anything, so it's wonderful that you have all the, the funding and the access for these programs to come up with some sort of maybe medicine or whatever it, needs to be in order to help possibly cure it at some point.
Also, we have been very lucky in lung cancer because I'm doing this for 24 years, but the first 12 or 15 years, nothing happened. We use the same old chemos that we barely can cure anybody, and the prolongation of life was short, less than 2 years. In the last 10 years, lung cancer now is probably the number one cancer in technology and development. In lung cancer, we start to discover the genes that can cause lung cancer. There are a lot of different genes. And for each gene, we start to create a specific target therapy against the gene. So today, for example, we have like around 15 pills, oral drugs, FDA approved, and each of them is specific for one type of lung cancer. So all of these amazing things have happened in the last 10 years. So that has been now a roller coaster for us that nothing happened. We were unable to save anybody, and now our patients are living 8, 9, 10 years with very good quality of life. We don't use too much chemotherapy anymore. And now actually we're in the process to discover the genes for the other group of lung cancers that we haven't discovered yet. So that's why it has been more intense in the last years. We just got the FDA approved drug for lung cancer last week. Before that, it was only 3 weeks earlier that we got another lung cancer approved. So that's why we're very excited now. Hopefully, we can make a difference for these hundreds of thousands of people that develop lung cancer.
Sure, that's fantastic. What are your thoughts on AI with helping in research and finding a therapy or some sort of something that will help either alleviate it or get rid of it? So are you...
So AI is very useful for medicine and for sure for cancer. With AI, we can easily do processes that take many, many hours before, or they were impossible to be done. For example, I told you we have 65 clinical trials, but we get 5,000 new patients a year in our cancer center here. So to match the 5,000 new patients with 65 clinical trials is a lot of labor-intense manually work that our research nurses and us do. And there is bigger cancer centers than us. If you are in Moffitt, MD Anderson, you're talking about 20,000 patients, 25,000 patients that need to be matched with 500 protocols, That's why you understand that AI is very important. For example, the AIs nowadays, they match the patients with the protocols. They can tell you, hey, this patient may qualify for this or this or this study based on what the AI can read in the information from the patient or from the studies, That's one example. Another example is pathology. I don't know if you heard, but remember the classic pathology reading is that the doctor looks at the tumor, and based on his experience, he tells you, oh, this is like ovarian cancer, breast cancer. But if you provide the AI with information about 20 or 30,000 of these cancers, the next time you put the slide in front of the AI, and the AI can tell you exactly what cancer it is, because it has much more capability than us to remember and organize all of the features that help us to diagnose cancer. And there are many more examples like that. For example, the last one I want to give you, I don't want to talk too much about, is that we do, in our healthcare system, for example, we do 250,000 CT scans a year. 250,000 scans a year. And we always worry that we are missing some pulmonary nodes. Because if you come to my hospital with a car accident, and we do a CAT scan looking for a broken rib, and I tell you, oh, you're fine, you survived the car accident, nothing is broken, but you have a tiny nodule in your lung, don't forget to call your primary care next year to repeat the CAT scan. Nobody remembers these things. So we miss sometimes nodules or things like that maybe in the future can become cancer. Most of the nodules never become cancer, but we need follow-up. That's why, for example, the AI in our healthcare system reads the 250,000 records.
Wow.
Something that for my nurse will be impossible. And
Absolutely.
the AI tells us which are the group of the patients are suspicious and which ones we need to follow. So he shrinks the population from 250,000 to around 4,000.
Unbelievable.
And now for the 4,000, the nurses are and the doctors are something is more manageable. But thanks to the AI, before we were never able to do this because we didn't have the manpower to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's fascinating and how fantastic to be a part of that, the start of it with the AI. Because I mean, you said you've been in this space for 25 years, and there's young new doctors that just became doctors doing what you're doing, so they don't necessarily understand what the process that you had to go through prior to all this technology and AI, and just how neat for you to have that perspective, experiencing that, and being able to share that wisdom with these newer doctors doing what you're doing. That's fantastic. What's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
Can you repeat what you say? What?
What's a skill or habit you think does not get enough credit for contributing to your success?
Oh, that's hard to know. You may think that you have the best idea in the world, and the only reason why they have not cured cancer is because they don't listen to you. But, it's not realistic, There is too many humans in this planet. So sometimes they don't listen to you, but doesn't mean that you are always right, Maybe here, we are doctors, so we deal all over the United States and the world with administrators that are the ones that take care of the management of our hospitals and healthcare systems. Not that sometimes, yes, you make proposals, but the administrators don't follow your proposal, and then sometimes you feel frustrated. But I understand that's very normal because sometimes the proposals are competitive. Like you were talking about, so for example, I look at the building in the back. I am proposing to build another cancer center like this because we have a big territory, but the cost of that is huge. And then you have the cardiologists that try to build another cardiology center like this, and then you have the endocrinologists, and so at the end, it's very difficult. Sorry. At the end, it's very difficult to be administrator because you have a fixed amount of money and everybody has needs. So that's why maybe I feel frustrated because I cannot build my cancer center and because they choose to build a children's hospital, no? And but I understand that reality, I don't envy the job of the administrator because with the resources that they have to decide what is priority for the community of our patients.
Sure. So let me ask you this next question here. Sorry about that. So everybody hits a bump in the road every now and then. Can you share a time that things didn't pan out and how you got through it?
Well, the biggest bump in the road for us was the COVID, that, remember I'm talking about, we do research here. We are advancing the fight against cancer. We have clinical trials, and then we have patients that are incurable, that if we don't put them in the clinical trials, they won't survive. And now the COVID comes, and then we have to worry about survival by ourselves, and then we start to separate and put distance between ourselves and with the patients. We were able to pass the COVID without shutting down the cancer center. But for us, it was very, very scary because we had to minimize activities in the cancer center and in our offices. We have several offices in 5 hospitals, and that we were always worried to impair the cancer care. We didn't want to impair the cancer care. Mm-hmm. For example, in our hospitals, we had to shut down the operating rooms at the beginning of the COVID, but you have people waiting with cancer that needs to have surgery. So that was very frustrating for us because we knew that the patients need surgery and we couldn't do the surgery because everything was shut down. So that's why it was very challenging the 2 years, but we never closed the cancer center, the outpatient facility. We were able always to treat people, and of course, people that they need the most was first. Surgeries, they were stopped for a while. But that was probably the most challenging time for us because we work for a very good healthcare system. So, I was wondering, they called me to take care of COVID patients because our 5 hospitals were full of COVID. There was a time that was horrible, like 95 hospital patients were COVID. And I was wondering what day they were going to call me to join the COVID floor and abandon my cancer patients, And I was lucky that never happened, So I used to volunteer a weekend. We used to vaccinate for COVID across the street in my healthcare system, but I was never able. I didn't have to abandon the cancer care, and so there were 2 very challenging years. Really, we were able to still do research, for example, but that was very difficult.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That was a horrible time. And I couldn't even imagine you as a doctor, seeing these patients and people coming in sick by the masses, and your hands are kind of tied because you're limited to what you can and can't do, with the protocol at that time. So I couldn't even imagine how that affected you to sit back and watch that, So I'm sure leading a team has its challenges. What's your leadership style? And can you give us an example of how it helped you through a tough spot?
I think it's important that the people, there are many things. One, you lead with example. So you want people to work until 7 p.m. that day. You cannot ask for that if you have not done before. And that's why I usually require from people to do, but I already have done that before, because I need to understand what means, and so that has been very good because I guess people usually, because I lead with example, they understand. The other thing is, if possible, I try to keep people happy and satisfied. I think work, even if it's a difficult work, they're supposed to fulfill you and make you a better person. So I'm trying to do that. I don't like people to work as an obligation, as I don't have a better job, I have to do this, or I only work because I need the money. Especially because we're working with human beings here, we're treating cancer patients. So you need to do the extra mile. For example, I'm very proud. Several doctors and nurses here are cancer survivors already. And the people don't know, right, that all of these doctors and nurses, they went through the chemo, to the surgeries and things that we are asking our patients to have. And sometimes patients think, oh, they don't understand me because it's not their body. But if they will know that we went through the same, they will know that, yes, we understand. And we're cheering you and tell you that you can overcome these things. This is not the end of the road. And that's why I try to lead in that way too. And in general, I'm proud to say when the team is happy, when the people comes to work and feels fulfilled, and there is a purpose, actually we're more successful. I am the cancer center director here. I guess I pick up the awards, but I know that these are not mine. That I only represent 600 people here. And I know that because they are working happily, they are fulfilled.
Sure.
And I know people here that are getting divorced, but when they're in front of the cancer patient, they cheer the patient, they smile, they forget about the problems. And I think that's why it makes me so happy, because I think we're making a difference in the lives of other patients. We're very generous because we're forgetting our own problems. As long as I can lead like that, I think it's ideal. And of course, nothing in life is ideal. Once in a while, we have misunderstandings. You're dealing with a lot of things. But in general, I think you should lead with example. You should try to keep people happy, and most of the time it works very well.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and I mean, like you said, there's some hiccups, in working closely together like that from time to time, but it is human nature. If that didn't happen, it wouldn't be a normal relationship or team to move forward. And you guys are extremely selfless, with what you do, which is, I mean, just incredible. So when you're building your dream team, what's the one trait you always look for and why?
Um, well, I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. So that's why I'm a little biased in that area. I want to work with and recruit people that can move science, remember, to discover drugs for cancer. But I acknowledge that also quality is very important. You need to treat the patients well. You need to, I already told you, be compassionate with them, trying to relieve their pain. So that's why I tend to focus more on quality, but I am very open to realize that I need to hire also people that are compassionate doctors, people that are very good professionals. So all the other areas, I think, they need to be considered. No? But I like the science part because we need more people to do more clinical trials. We still,
Yeah.
nationwide, there is like a 40% of cancers that we don't cure yet. So that's why we still need to do a lot of work to find the cure for this.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So how do you encourage your team to think outside the box and bring new ideas to the table?
Well, first of all, you have to listen to them because, if somebody has a good idea and you don't listen to them, you will never implement, no? So that's why I'm a very, I guess, passionate. I'm very proactive. I'm hyper. I like things done yesterday. But they have to be careful because, sometimes somebody can have a good suggestion and then you may, if you don't value that, and, you may not listen to that. So that's why usually this is not a monarchy, we have committees, we have teams, we sit, we discuss as a group. We have administrators here that help us in the management and the quality part, doctors that we discuss science, and then together we are trying to listen each other and try to get the best ideas, the best solutions, the best proposals for the cancer center and for our patients. But I acknowledge that, I tell you, I value a lot to be efficient. I value a lot to be productive and successful. And the only way that you can do this is if you do fast, especially now, with the internet, the iPhone, everything.
Yes.
If I send you an email and you don't answer me in 2 weeks, I will never do business with you, because.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks is
Yeah,
pretty long.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why.
I would say 48 hours.
Also, is what is expected. Maybe before I used to send a letter, and 2 weeks later you answer me with another letter. But in this world, but I tell you, we need to be careful also that maybe people that is lower than you has some important values that they need to listen, and because they can contribute to the successful organization. I work for a $4 billion corporation, 18,000 people, and if we don't value the opinions and the ideas, I don't think we'll be so successful.
Sure. So what does a day in your life look like? How do you juggle work and everything else?
Well, usually I'm still seeing patients. We are very lucky that we have we work as dyads here. We have administrators and doctors working together. So I'm the cancer center director, but my dyad is a vice president, and she takes care of all the business side. So that's good for me, so I can focus on the research and the patients. And I still have time to see patients because I'm not an administrator. So I see patients 3 times a week. I identify people that needs to be enrolling on clinical trials. And the rest of the time we're not seeing patients. I'm trying to negotiate with the industry to get trials for us so we can open these trials and offer to our patients. And also I teach. I'm a professor in two universities here, FAU and FIU, and we love to teach the younger generations that are going to replace us and hopefully will be much better than us. We also are an academic center, so I have oncology fellows, oncology cancer doctors in training. So that's why I'm spend hours sometimes with them in doing clinic or running the floor, because you need to teach them, and it's part of our academic responsibilities. So between the teaching and the research, we spend the time that we are not with the patients.
Sure. That's a busy schedule you have.
What makes you happy? I told you, when you feel that you're productive and you can make a difference.
Sure. And I'm sure when you see the difference you've made, I mean, what an accomplishment, and the gratitude you must feel for that, when you see a success case, so that's just amazing. Has there been a book, a podcast, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
No, but I guess I have learned from a lot of people, no? Because, for example, I started to do cancer education 10 years ago with videos, because a friend of mine started that. A friend of mine was so passionate that he said there was not enough to give classroom, to teach in the classrooms, that the times now require videos. So sometimes there is a patient advocate organization called Raez. I do videos for them. Do short videos, so for patients, for families, that they understand what's lung cancer, what's chemo, what's immunotherapy. And I collaborate with 2 or 3 of these organizations. It was very good for me that I learned that something I never thought that was important can be important, and I can easily be very helpful. I didn't know that I can be a good. I know that I can be a good teacher, but I didn't know that doing videos I can be very helpful. Maybe listening people like you guys. I should start a podcast.
You should.
I have been thinking for the last 3 years to do a podcast, but I am so lazy. Say, podcast. I already have videos. Why I need to do a podcast? But I realized that people, including myself, I learn a lot of podcasts when I'm driving. So I should not be looking at videos when I'm driving. So I guess podcasts are very important. Actually, you can be walking in the street and listening to the podcast.
Absolutely.
You cannot be watching videos, and you can save a lot of time that you are walking, driving. So that's why I congratulate you guys for the podcast, because I think it's a very important way to reach people, educate people. And now I'm becoming a fan of podcasts, for my own education and things like that. That's another thing, for example, that I learned that is important. And the same with the research. When I was very young, I met some doctors that they are very passionate to do research, and I never realized how fulfilling can be for me too. And as you said, you cannot save everybody, but one patient, one family that is grateful, even if maybe you didn't save the patient, but you prolong his life with a good quality of life, and they were able to enjoy more Thanksgivings, more Christmas, and you think, I haven't done too much for this, but for them it's a lot.
Sure.
That gives you a lot of satisfaction, So, but these are things that you discover doing. That when I was a medical student, I didn't even know that I wanted to be oncologist, So I didn't know what field was the most important one. And again, it's following the same line. I was afraid of oncology because there's a lot of pain and suffering here. Maybe people will get upset if I cannot cure their loved ones. But as you said, people are very grateful, because when they need help the most, and if you are there, or at least you try to help, that makes a big difference for them. And I discovered that being oncologist.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the empathy that you give them, and to be able to feel their pain per se, maybe not physically, but emotionally, you can feel their pain and empathize with them and give them that comfort, in that moment. So how do you, with all, I'm sure you have so many so there's so much technology coming out with conducting research and tools and equipment. How do you tackle learning new things, especially stuff that's out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, it's to be oncologist, for example, is very challenging because you need to be up to date, as I said, sometimes weekly. You know, we just got a new lung cancer approval last week, and I'm sure in the next 3 months I'm going to have tons of people that wants me to give a talk and interview because there is a new drug and they want to learn about that one. I told you that a lot of the lung cancer therapies today are genetic. They are based on genes. I was never trained on that in the medical school. I was never trained in the oncology training. I learned that to be after I was a professor. So I need to learn to teach the younger ones. And that's exactly what we do now. So this new drug, for example, that was FDA approved, I participated in the development of the drug. Because now I was teaching my fellows, my younger oncologists.
Sure.
But right now I need to teach the general oncologists in the community because they don't have an idea about this drug. They didn't participate in the clinical trial. So it's a learning process all the time. So if you like oncology, you need to think about that. You have to keep learning and learning. But I guess that keeps some of us, they keep us more motivated doing that than doing the same thing all over and over. You know, that's why we don't mind to do that. But as you said, my surgeons keep learning every day now because we keep changing machines. You know, we have robots for surgery, but the robot keeps being upgraded all the time. So we keep changing robots, we have changing technologies. So that's why at the beginning, for example, genetics was away from my comfort zone. You know, and the few genetics that I have to study in medical school, I did the minimum to learn and forget about that. But now when you become an expert, you start to appreciate how important it is, and then you start to like it and motivate yourself and motivate others to keep developing the field.
Sure. So if somebody listening to us now wants to get better at let's say, with research in any area that they're interested in, whether it be the oncology or some sort of surgery or whatnot, you know, what would you suggest they do, and what tips would you give them?
I guess if you don't have experience, it's better to join a team so you can learn from others, and then you can teach the ones that are less experienced than you in the future. So that helps a lot. You know, you need to have a mentor or have some mentorship. It's very hard for you to sit alone in, you know, you need to be a genius like Steve Jobs or one of these guys or Elon Musk, you know, but most of us are not like that. Most of us need some mentorship. And that's why my suggestion is to join a team, especially if you're a medical student. It's easier because you have a lot of people ahead of you in the career. And that's why I encourage our medical students to join early, you know, the ones that have some thinking about. We love to recruit medical students here because then we can teach them from very, very early. So by the time that they join oncology training, they already have plenty of experience and they are very useful for our field. That's why that's the best thing to do. You start early and you really need to like it. You know, you cannot say, oh, maybe when I graduated from medical school or I graduated from oncology, I'm going to start to do research. Okay, maybe you don't have on you, you know, if you like research and you're passionate about discovering the drugs and helping the patients, you have to do that since yesterday. You know, it's not something that you can keep postponing. So, I want to do that after I get married in 2 years, you know. Probably you're not very interested. That's why you're not doing that now, and maybe you never do.
Sure. So, you know, it sounds like things are going well for you in your business. As you're looking towards the future, I'm wondering if or how you create passive income, or if you have invested in the past.
How do you say passive income?
Passive income, like, do you invest in stocks? Do you invest in real estate?
Oh, yeah. I am a state employee here. You know, as I said, we don't do things for profit. But we are very well paid here, so we have a very good salary and very good benefits. We still have a pension plan here for life, and we prefer to work like that. I know if I respect the choice. No, I can go to the community, maybe as a private oncologist, maybe make more money. But for me, the research and the teaching is more important. That fulfills me maybe more than to make more money. That's why I'm happy working here, and like everybody else, I buy some stocks or some, but because, you cannot be good in everything. The few times I haven't buy a stock, I always lose money. So I
understand.
rather invest in my retirement, in my 401k, 457, because these things are more secure, like you buying stock and going up and down. You don't have time for this. That's why a lot of us use financial advisors so that they can study the market. Because, as I said, we are good for oncology, but we're not good for business,
Yeah, I understand. So as we're wrapping up our interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, we're very excited because in Broward County, we had two healthcare systems before, Broward General and us, called Memorial. We are practically merging now. So instead to be 5 hospitals, we're going to be 11. We're going to become the largest healthcare system in America, a public healthcare system, not private, public. And the North District that of us doesn't have a cancer center. So we are very excited that maybe we need to duplicate the size of a cancer center to cover our neighbors in the North. And that's a lot of work, a lot of programs that we need to develop, a lot of people that we need to hire. But it's good because in the North District has like 1 million people, that don't benefit of all of these programs that we have here in the South District. When I talk about South, I'm talking about Hollywood, Hallandale, that's our territory. Weston, but North Broward doesn't have Pompano. All of these areas don't have the same level of cancer programs that we have, and that's why I think it's very exciting for us to think that maybe we can, expanding our cancer center, we can benefit a lot of population and provide them service like that they are not available for them now in that area. They have to drive away from the area.
Sure. So it'll be nice to have it where it's closer to their home and work and not have to commute 45 minutes plus.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So you must be excited because you live, eat, and breathe the hospital and research and studying and teaching. So that I'm happy for you. That's great to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. If anybody wanted to get a hold of you or learn from you or needed your services, how does one connect with you?
Oh, it's very easy. My name is Raez. I work for Memorial Healthcare System. It's very easy to Google us. Our cancer center has only one number, for everything. So in that way, you call only one number and then you ask for the service that you want. So to make easy for the patients, because you may call for surgery, somebody call for chemo, somebody wants to call for breast cancer. So we only have one number, 954-265-4325, that is in the internet, in Google. So that's very easy to reach us, and hopefully we can serve you better, especially if you live in Broward County, in Florida.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you again for coming on. It was a pleasure to meet you and chat with you. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. And if you want to get a hold of the doctor, he gave you the number and the website to go to and track him down. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.